not only are the better ball strikers doing more of it,
Yep.
they're doing more of it, they're doing it slower, but they're also, you said, doing it sooner.
Yeah.
Sooner.
The pros square it up early. The AMs square it up after the ball's gone.
All right, guys, so this is it. This is our last day for our end of summer promotion. Tonight at midnight, Sunday, August 21st, our prices are going up. We have a lot of golfers that come in that want to work with us. We can only help so many people, and I'd like for you to be one of those people that get in before the prices go up. But I get, maybe you haven't tried online coaching before, maybe you're a little skeptical, so I want to take all of the risk out of play. That's why you get to try your first lesson for free. Try it out, see if I'm right. If I am, I help you get better. If I'm not, you risk absolutely nothing. You pay absolutely nothing. And I'm also gonna give you my 4 of our favorite master classes, our full swing range master class, which is my personal favorite, our putting and chipping master classes, and our wedge and short iron master class. Literally everything you need to take your game to the next level. I walk you through step by step exactly how to do all that. So I hope that you'll get in before the deadline. I hope that I'll see you in there and we'll be working together as soon as later today. We're gonna put the link on the bottom of the screen. We'll also put it in the description down below.
What they're doing to try to square the face is a wrist motion this way. Now, we teach flipper.
Yeah.
That's it. When the pros have very little to that until follow through, they actually rotate their arm. And the pro rotates it twice as much through the downswing as the AM, twice as early, and the AM does it and tries to flash it late. It's too late, they can't recover from it anyways. So it's not a big deal. It may change your game for life. That's all.
Isn't that such a powerful couple of things to say there? The better ball strikers, when measured, are rotating. We'll go through arm rotation, supination. What does any of that mean? Are having that supination, that arm rotation, about twice as much, as higher handicap players. Yet it's interesting to me, a lot of the higher handicap players I see oftentimes are concerned that they have too much arm rotation and timing. I'm gonna put that aside for the moment. But the pros do twice as much as the amateur players, right? Yet they do it slower compared to the amateur player who tries to rush it in real quick at the bottom in an effort to square the face.
And the amateur player, his brain, like I say to people, I don't care what your wife says, you ain't stupid.
Yeah.
Your brain is trying to save you on the way down. So you've already opened it up in the wrong time.
Yeah.
Probably opened it up even farther. Notice my palm's going down to the ground now.
Yeah.
That's no bueno, right?
Yeah.
If I get this club rotating the wrong way early, I have to flash it through impact.
So let's go through this because this is going to be so good and help so many people, John. When we're talking arm rotation, let's go back to the basics. So kind of supination, pronation. What do we mean with those?
Yeah, so it's not a wrist motion at all. So here's our little checkpoint.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
We'll take this ball, and now you're gonna have to trust me on this one. This is
Okay.
hard to do at first. You're gonna let that wrist kind of bend. I'm gonna put that right there. Now all I want you to do is turn your arm back and forth, and the ball does. You turn your whole forearm. See my forearm turn?
Oh,
There
okay,
you go.
okay.
That's it. Now do this one.
I'm gonna.
Yep. There goes
Okay.
there goes the
Ball
ball
gone.
and your golf swing.
Got it.
Okay.
Okay.
That's the flip. And it is true that pros do eventually
okay.
release the club out here, but that's well after the golf ball's
So
gone.
I'm rotating my whole arm.
It's
Okay.
arm, not wrist.
Okay,
And
got it.
Amateurs are trying to do it with their wrists. It's killing them.
So the supination part, right? When we say arm rotation this way, supination palm up. Let's just go over that for a second.
That's fine. It really is in the elbow, these two bones turning over. It's real hard to mix it up.
Yeah.
But it really is the entire arm. So if we went back to our chopstick image, let's get that glove back on
Yeah,
again.
sure.
We'll go back to our chopstick because this is a great way to look at this. And in this case, we're going to go dull end in, folks. Dull end, not the sharp end. Now, take that arm out like this.
Yeah.
Now, all I want you to do is keep your wrist right here because it's not going to move. And I just want you to point the stick that way. Yep, keep the wrist. Ooh, isn't that nice? That's what it really is.
That's how I'm rotating my arm during the downswing.
Yeah, it better be.
Yeah. Okay. And from this perspective, so it's an arm rotation, right? Supination, palm up, some
Palm
shoulder
up.
rotation.
You can hold soup in your hand.
Soup in the hand. I like that. Yeah.
Right.
And so as I'm doing this during my downswing, let me hop in there, John.
Yep.
As I'm doing this during my downswing, right? We'll talk maybe the backswing about a second. Not only are the better ball strikers doing more of it,
Yep.
they're doing more of it. They're doing it slower, but they're also, you said, doing it sooner.
Yeah.
Sooner.
The pros square it up early. The AMs square it up after the ball's gone.
The pros square it up early.
Right in fact, you're seeing a lot of guys, take it to the top of the backswing now, you're seeing a lot of guys that even bend this wrist more this way. We'll call that flexed.
Yep.
And by the way, the flexion of the wrist, what's happening to the club shaft when you're doing that?
Flattening.
It's flattening out a little bit.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Maybe you don't have to flatten out if you can control what you're doing with your arms and wrists.
Hello.
Okay, but they'll do it early.
Yep.
Right? So the club face is coming. You'll see the pros, they're coming in from here. The face, this is a huge difference. Most pros, the face is slightly pointing down, and the amateurs, I'm telling you right now, that face is still like this.
Yeah.
Now, how are you going to square that face up from there, Mr. Cogorno?
Whoop.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's the only way.
I'm gonna try. Gonna try my best.
You gotta save it at 100 miles an hour.
Whereas if I'm doing a normal, like one of the visuals I always like, especially when I'm working with someone in person, would be like, listen, because people say, hey, how much am I supposed to rotate my arm? And there's, I think, several ways to answer that. One of the ways, if you look at players, kind of regardless of grip style, you would see a general idea that by the time the shaft is somewhere near parallel, right, the glove logo is going to point basically away from them, more or less. It's going to point pretty close to where they started, depending upon their grip style.
Yep.
And then it's going to point to the left behind them.
Beautiful.
That's 180 degrees.
Yep.
Of rotation, just in terms of that space there. I mean, think about that, the club going from here to here. And one of the things that I like that you said, you used the Dustin Johnson model in your video, right, on this?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you've got an extremely strong grip or a bowed wrist. Like even if you got the most shut face in the world, there's still a healthy amount of arm rotation,
Yep.
right? And I think just conceptually, if we could eliminate the idea that arm rotation is inherently a negative thing, which I think a lot of golfers see, that would go a long way. Do you see that same thing?
Yeah, I think I would say that people are misinterpreting
Okay.
a wrist motion for too much arms. Right?
Got it.
They think their arms are doing too much, but actually their wrists are taking over.
They're doing too much of this too
Yeah,
early.
yeah.
And they need more of the arm.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was actually perfect. And you can see, I tell people, I try to keep the coaching externally focused.
Okay.
Right? So a body part is internal focus.
Yep.
So what you just did was you were talking about the logo on your glove,
Yep.
which is external, not part of the body,
Yep.
rotating from here to the back wall behind you, so to speak. That's
Yeah.
a beautiful way of looking at it.
Isn't that a nice, like just kind of neutral, hey, start here in terms of your arm rotation?
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah. And so when I'm going up here, I take my setup position. Now, just to kind of dig into some of the details, right? When I take my setup, obviously how turned I'm going to be at setup depends some on grip style. A little bit grip dependent.
Yeah.
A little bit grip dependent. But during my backswing, I'm going to have some pronation, a little palm down action. And can we just say about to the point where the butt of the club is roughly on the ball target line?
Lovely, lovely.
Right?
It could be a little inside that or a little outside it, no problem. But the arm rotated to get there. You
Yeah.
didn't do that with your wrist doing something untoward in the swing.
Okay, so I'm sensing a theme here. I didn't do it with my wrist. I did it with my arm. So I'm pronate, I'm going a little palm down, kind of gradually. I'm not going boom real fast.
Very smooth.
Just steadily, gradually, to the point where maybe the butt of the club's around there. And now as I come down in transition, you know, it is a lot of that arm supination, a lot of that rotation piece happening kind of from like left arm parallel in the downswing,
Even earlier.
even sooner.
And if some of the guys will go up and they'll have a little bit of more pronation at the top because that also helps to flatten the club out.
Yeah,
But I'm talking about right after this, they start going the other way. The wrist starts to flex
Yeah.
and the arm starts to turn almost immediately.
Almost right away.
Yeah.
Yeah. And especially when in data. The other thing I really like in your videos, John, and your coaching, when I used to watch you coach, is following the ball. Like at the end of the day, we're golfing. We got to hit a ball to a target, which we lose sight of sometimes. And I think, hey, do I have too much arm rotation? Not enough arm rotation? Should I do it sooner? Of course, there's variables involved. But I think at the end of the day, the ball's a pretty good guide here.
It's
right?
the only guide, right?
Yeah, it's a pretty good guide. Because there's times, John, where I might say, and I'm curious to hear your opinion on this, I might say if I'm working with someone on, hey, let's make it look good if it's like a global kind of big thing we're working on, and then we'll kind of get to the ball. But to me, arm rotation is pretty much one-to-one ball.
Yeah.
Which I don't know that everything isn't from my perspective, but this piece is immediate. So where I'm getting at is, hey, if I'm saying, hey, coach, I feel like I'm doing a pretty good amount of arm rotation, but the ball's still going to the right, right? Maybe it's curving right even, or
maybe
whatever
you're
the
late
case
to the
is.
party.
Maybe I'm late to the party.
All the pretty girls are taken.
So I gotta do, that's their one liar. I gotta do it sooner, maybe. I gotta do it more. I gotta do it sooner and maybe more to start with. So let me hit a couple as we work through here, John.
So
and we're
depending on the grip type, right?
Depending upon the grip type, yeah. There's always a grip caveat, right?
Geez, isn't there always?
There's always a grip caveat.
Fix your grip, folks, please, for goodness sakes.
So I'm kind of feeling pretty early on, I'm wanting to start to get this logo, for me is what I cue in on.
Yep.
I'm looking to get this logo from away from me all the way to the left. And it feels like a whole arm unit.
On this one, let's give it the full treatment.
Okay.
And maybe if we do this correctly, the ball will say, ooh, you did it, and this ball goes left.
So I'm gonna feel as though I go earlier and more than normal. Let's start with that. Now, a little bit left, but not brutal.
Not brutal.
And I think to start with, it's really important too, for me, John, like I swing pretty good, right? So I might be like on the end of those pro examples, right? So I have a healthy amount of supination as is. Right. I think a lot of the players we work with, when they feel a lot early and more than normal, that might not even get them to normal amounts.
That's true.
Right?
And so who's the boss? The golf ball.
The ball.
Do it more and earlier until it doesn't go
more.
Right.
John, where did you go to school, man?
That's 7 years of college right there.
Oh, okay, so here we go. Earlier and more arm rotation. Yeah, felt good.
Oh, baby.
And that's what I would expect for me to see as a sign that I did it, based on the fact that my normal is pretty neutral.
Yep.
So now I know I did that more. I know that supination piece is making the face point more left, right? A little bit of the pull hook. And so let's say...
Well, let me interrupt you right there. Sorry. Okay. But most of our people would go, well, that's no good. But what we would do, having coached for a long, long time, is go, no, when you do the right thing so well that it's actually way too far, we call it super good.
Yeah,
it's more
jumping
than
up
good.
And down.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. At least it ain't right again.
And then what they can do is either so now they've learned what too much is. They could dial it down a little, or you might say, hey, that's actually a good amount of arm rotation. Is there something else maybe that I can pair with that? Grip style. Maybe. I hate to say grip again.
I hate to say grip again.
If we got every golfer in the world, and I'll finish on this, because you and I could talk about this for an hour. If we got every golfer in the world to have too much arm rotation, lead arm supination, too early,
yeah,
would the average handicap go down a lot or up a lot?
Straight down.
It goes straight down.
Add the supination to our video on the wrist.
Yeah.
We have just saved the game of golf.
Arm rotation, such a big one. John and I were talking off camera. We could talk forever about this. When I was doing a lot more in-person coaching than I do now, we were doing more videos, Mary and I were talking about, because I would talk about this all the time because it came up all the time, out of necessity, not because I like to, right, but out of necessity. So pros do it roughly twice as much. They do it sooner. They do it more progressively and slower. There's still going to be this extension, because I know this is going to come up. There's still going to be this extension thing, but it's much later.
It's much later.
It's much later. Okay.
It's much later. Yes.
Maybe that's a whole other video.
This is doing this release of that flat left wrist But folks,
Later.
you're doing it too early as it is.
Yeah, like
Save that for the pros.
Let's learn to overdo these
Yeah,
pieces.
let's do that first.
Okay, I digress. Mr. Dunnigan, thank you. A blast as always. Guys, that's arm rotation. We're gonna put a card on the screen if you like this video, similar style video we did. And we'll also put the card for GogornoGolf.com. Would love to see you there.